everybody, this is Seattle and I'm here for the 2010 Sweet Adeline International Barbershop Convention of Quartets and Choruses. Today is Sunday and so there's lots to explore before the convention gets underway. Seattle is in the northwest corner of the United States and Washington State. And here's a closer look at Washington State. Seattle is right here. To the west is the Pacific Ocean, to the south is Portland, and to the north is Canada. And if we look closer at this map, Seattle is right here. The Olympic National Park is here, Mount Rainier, the town of Redmond, and the town of Everett. There's several islands you can visit. Seattle is surrounded by water, and if you look at this gray box and make it bigger, that is this map. So on this map, we see that the airport is right here. So if you're coming from the airport, you'll go north to get downtown. And also see that Mercer Island is here, the Museum of Industry and History and the University of Washington, and then up here is the Northgate Mall. Over here is the town of Redmond, and if you make this gray box bigger, you get this map, which is downtown Seattle. This area is Seattle Center, and this is Key Arena, where most of the Barbershop Convention events will be. Some of the events will happen right here at the Convention Center. Some other things you want to see is the Monorail, which is a mile long, and this is Elliott Bay, and the world-famous Pike Place Market is in this area. Most of the convention hotels are right in here. Specifically, the Westin is right there, and this is Pioneer Square, which would be the historical area of town. Seattle was the site of the 1962 World's Fair, and I have a guidebook here from 1962. What is now the Seattle Center was the fairgrounds, and some of the buildings and structures are still here. Lots of theaters on this side, the Space Needle and the Monorail, the amusement park, the Key Arena, and most of what you see on this map was built for the World's Fair. Also, Seattle is home to many very famous companies, so we'll be celebrating that in this video series with a countdown of Seattle's most fascinating companies. If you think I left out a company that should have been on the list, or if you think I have them in the wrong order, please let me know what you think. This is the downtown shopping area, and right now I'm at Westlake Center. It's got some stores you've seen before and some that are unique to this area. This place is located right where the monorail ends. So if you want to get here from the Space Needle, just get on the monorail at the Space Needle and take it all the way to the end. The monorail was built in 1962 for the World's Fair, and it was supposed to be a futuristic idea of what train travel would be like. In 1887, a 16-year-old left Sweden for New York City. He arrived with $5 and knowing no English. He worked his way across the country in coal mines, sawmills, and railroad crews, and eventually settled in Seattle, where he learned about the Alaskan gold rush. In 1897, he went to Alaska in search of gold and came back 2 years later with $13,000. With that money, John Nordstrom and a shoemaker he had met in Alaska opened a shoe store in downtown Seattle. Number 5 on our countdown of Seattle's most fascinating companies is Nordstrom. Nordstrom was only a shoe store until 1963 when clothing was added. The company stayed under Nordstrom management through the years and is currently run by fourth-generation Nordstrom cousins. The largest of the 112 stores is at the company headquarters in Seattle. It is 383,000 square feet. And here is Nordstrom. This is the flagship store, and it's the largest Nordstrom. And the first few floors are the store, and the upper floors are the corporate offices for the headquarters. The shopping district here is really easy because they're all in a row. This is the Pacific Place right here, and then right next to it is Nordstrom, and right next to that is the Westlake Center. And right next to that is a huge Macy's. This is the inside of Pacific Place Mall, and I'm on the 4th floor. It has 4 floors, and on the 4th floor are the theaters. And here's the Convention Center. This is where some of the events this week will take place at the Barbershop Convention.
a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man of his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a blowin' reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
And now we're going to explore Pike Place Market.
We're completely bent over every time. Yeah, you would think.
In 1971, an English teacher, a history teacher, and a writer opened a coffee store in Seattle. The store sold coffee beans and equipment, but didn't sell ready-to-drink coffee. 10 years later, the store was discovered by a visionary named Howard Schultz. Number 4 on our countdown of Seattle's most fascinating companies is Starbucks. Howard Schultz grew up in the projects in Brooklyn, and neither of his parents ever finished high school, but he went to college on a football scholarship and was working for a housewares company in New York when he noticed that one of his clients was buying an unusually high number of a certain kind of coffee maker. He went to Seattle to check it out and was immediately won over by the variety of coffee from all over the world being sold at Starbucks. For a year, Howard tried to get Starbucks to hire him, and finally they agreed to a meeting. He presented his vision of what Starbucks could be, expanding outside of Seattle, perhaps even all over the country. But the owners turned him down, saying that it just didn't match their vision of Starbucks. He called them back and eventually convinced them to hire him to help with marketing. He quit his job in New York, took a big pay cut, and moved to Seattle to work for Starbucks. In 1983, Howard went on a trip to Italy and encountered the coffee house culture there. He was convinced that Starbucks could bring this culture to the United States, but the owners didn't like the idea. They thought that coffee was something that you made at home and didn't want to sell ready-to-drink coffee in the store. Around the same time, the owners decided to buy another coffee store in Seattle, and this move put them heavily in debt. They couldn't reconfigure the store at that point even if they wanted to because of all the debt. So Howard quit Starbucks and started another coffee chain. Soon after, the Starbucks owners decided to sell the business, so Howard bought it and finally had the chance to turn Starbucks into what it is today. Starbucks now has 17,000 stores and sells to 35 million customers a week. And it's standing room only at the world's first Starbucks, and I've been in line for a while, and there are probably at least 50 Starbucks here in Seattle that have exactly the same menu, but this is a chance of a lifetime. And here's what I got. A white chocolate frappuccino at the world's first Starbucks.
With that old quartet of mine.